If you look for it, every day has cause for celebration. Celebrate a friend for their promotion, baby wedding, life thing. Celebrate yourself for keeping the couch warm. It's no easy feat, especially if it's a big couch. Or maybe you just want to celebrate living in 2023, where you can get beer, wine, and spirits delivered from Drizzly in under 60 minutes without leaving said couch. So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com and get your favorite drinks delivered today.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's time to let you finish with. We're going to return with the return of Black Oprah and White Gal.
Oh, I'm so.
We haven't said that in a long time.
I know. I just read that Adele, who we're going to talk about later, is going to be doing an interview with Oprah.
I'm like, oh God! Like,
of all the people,
what did I tell you though? She just will find her way into anything. Yeah, she's now found her way into the Adele. Release.
We will talk about that later, but sadly, that is actually Adele's audience.
Yeah, I guess, right.
I hate to say
everybody is Adele's audience.
Yeah,
it's just why Oprah? It just seems so
because she's an easy check Oprah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, anyway, whatever. Good morning.
On my face, I look like shit.
Thank God we don't see you.
It's like, you know what I'm saying?
That's the beauty. Happening? There's no hair and makeup.
I look like I got punched in the head.
Well, all right. So you want to jump off with the latest verses, which I think was just great. That one I watched. Did you watch any of it? I know you're like me. You go in and out, right?
I think I've said it a million times on this show that I'm all versus out. You know what I mean? It's like, and I was kind of all versus out halfway during the pandemic. I was really happy to see that they went with two old school, really great guys who have music that stands the test of time with Big Daddy Kane and KRS-One.
Yeah.
But I dipped in and out of it. So you could probably talk about it more.
I dipped in and out too. I am going to freely admit that which is kind of funny considering that, I've spent a good part of my career writing about hip hop. I only know the hits with these guys. I hate to say it. It's a horrible thing. I have a special affection for Chris only because my very first music story I got paid for was Boogie Down Productions' Juice Crew in 1987. Right. So I do have a little, and Chris, and when I've run into him over the years, I just have an affection for him. I mean, it was a production. They're doing them now at Barclays, so it's no longer like mano a mano in the studio. They brought out break dancers.
With some weird chairs that people don't know if they should stand or sit in.
It's at Barclays. There's shots of the celebrities. There's they brought out break dancers. They brought out Greg Nice. They had look, everyone's arguing over who won, and it's the biggest cliche to say hip hop won, but it really was a great performance. Big Daddy Kane looks phenomenal considering. He had the better. I mean, he sounded the best. Chris was doing that. Let the audience finish the show.
But Kane always vocally. Especially, which is why he was kind of the top guy of his generation. Yeah. Vocally, he was the wordsmith, and he had that voice that he never lost. Very
much like FM radio DJ kind of.
You know what I mean?
But it was a great show. It was a great show. It was lots of fun. I mean, I don't know this for a fact, because I don't, like I said, like you, I dipped in and out. But supposedly there's some beef between DJ Scratch and Kid Capri, and that was the main show going on back there, where the DJs were fighting with each other about something. But you know what?
That sounds like a bunch of old men fighting.
Yeah, basically. But it was fun. You got and Crazy Legs from Rocksteady. A bunch of breakdancers came out, but Crazy Legs, and Crazy Legs is easily 50.
Or if I'm in my 50s, so he has to be in his 50s.
Okay, he was. Look, I mean, these guys were like, "Oh my God, you're spinning on your head."
Right.
So, I mean, so it was fun. It was fun. I don't know I read something really interesting. They said the reason that they haven't been able to find someone to go up against Busta, because that's the one everybody wants, is that they're looking at the wrong gender. And the only person who could maybe go for him would be Missy. That would be amazing.
They need to not be afraid to put a man against a woman.
No,
it's about the music and the hits.
Amazing.
He's got a catalog. She's got a catalog deep on her shit. But then if she starts digging through and doing the verses of the shit that she wrote on all of those other people's songs that she wrote and produced, I mean, it would just. I think
that would be fun because they both have a lot of goodwill, and also they're both. They put on a show, so that would be fun. So anyway,
and they're both Violator, right? They're both.
Well, I don't know.
They were. Yeah. They were both Violator.
Both Violator. Yeah.
Well, listen, I think Mona still manages Missy, and I don't know if she still manages Buster, but I believe she's still Missy's person.
Yeah. Well, it would be fun if they're going to do it, but yeah, like you, I'm a little enough already with this. Whatever. All right. You want to talk a little bit about the Stones? Speaking of old people.
No, because you brought that story up. To me, you know what's interesting about the announcement of it? It's dumb. It's like just stop playing it.
Well, okay. The reason, so let's backtrack a little bit. The Rolling Stones are on a tour right now. Their first tour in quite some time. And of course, the first tour without the late Charlie Watts. They are getting rave reviews. Yeah. I mean, like super duper rave reviews. Everyone I have read have just been like, this may be the best show ever. Incredible. And during a press conference early on, it was because Brown Sugar has been played in every one of their sets since the song came out.
So that was the song that never came out of set.
No, never. Ever since they wrote the song, which was like in the early 70s. And a reporter said, hey, how come Brown Sugar's not in the set? And Keith Richards said, you noticed that, huh?
Question. Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, you noticed that, huh? So the answer, look, Brown Sugar I
had no idea it was about a slave. I had
neither did I. I can't. All right.
Idea.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought Brown Sugar was just like, he met a black girl.
The whole beginning of the song is about bringing slave over from Africa and going to look at the lyrics.
It is
Gold Coast slave are down in New Orleans. You could hear them wailing just around midnight. I mean, there are slave images. They're on boats.
Holy
There's whips cracking.
Really
exactly. Everybody kind of focuses in on the Claudia Lanier lyrics or the Marsha
Brown Sugar. That's I know that.
Well, okay. So yes, it's a song. It's not a documentary. I love Keith Richards in so many different ways. Keith Richards, like men of his generation, Englishman, has a weird relationship with black music. They revere it, they fetishize it, whatever. Anyway, the point being is that Keith Richards' thing was, it's not out permanently. I can't understand. He said, I'm paraphrasing, I can't understand why people never understood it's an anti-slavery song. The fact that you didn't pick up on it, my best friend didn't pick up on it, a lot of people don't pick up, it makes me think, if that's an anti-slavery song, the message was being misconstrued because all everybody remembers is the hook, which itself was problematic because it was very sexualized. So they're saying they're kind of doing it. They're playing it both ways. They're both saying that we took it out because we suddenly realized 45 years after the song was written that it might be a little offensive. And this is also a legitimate thing. I mean, Mick Jagger said, we have a catalog that goes 60 years deep or 55 years deep. We could draw from a million different songs. And he has said it is not permanently out. So this is not a wham, cancel culture bullshit. This is just, we've decided to take it out for now. We will consider it. But like I said, it seems to be really funny that I was mentioning, as I said, my best friend Candace, and I was like, she goes, it is? I went, let me read you the lyrics.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever read the lyrics. And
read the lyrics.
I've seen the Stones once in concert. I have to tell you, I kind of remember. I remember that it was great.
Yeah, it's a great song.
And because they're just one of those bands that I feel like everyone should see once, right? You know what I mean? You have to see them at least once. But I don't really know a bunch of their lyrics, if I'm honest with you.
Oh, I do.
I know the lyrics to like the songs, and of course somebody like me would know, like start me up.
Excuse me, the lyrics for that are start me up, start me up, start me up. Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop.
Lord, I miss you. I know miss you.
Yeah, easy one.
And emotional rescue.
Oh, I love that song so much.
That's so good.
I love that song.
That still makes me do the grind up.
No, I love that song.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's, lest the right wing get on their little fucking high horses and start ranting and raving.
Well, they won't. The right wing won't, because they don't care about Black people in slavery. They're going to be mad that the Rolling Stones are singing because that's their favorite song.
No, well, I'm sure they don't even know what it's about either. But anyway, so that's the thing. They're kind of treading a line between it. And that's it. I will say, though, the Stones have always given a platform. There's a debate to be had about all British bands and the blues and R&B, but the Stones, they've had Stevie Wonder opening up for them. They had a lot of, back when Stevie Wonder was being booed and people getting upset. So the Stones have, they're problematic. All people are problematic, all right? But they atone for whatever sins they had. So they're dropping it. So if you're going to see the Stones this year and really getting amped for Brown Sugar, you're not going to get it.
No, but for your $2,000 ticket, you will get a lot of.
No, the tickets are not. The tickets are not they're expensive, but in fact, this show is not selling out in every venue.
Well, it's not. Well, one, they're playing big stadiums, and two, I think there's still a lot of people. COVID, the generation who would be going to see the Stones are not going to sit among thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah. Anyway, so I would love to see them. Okay, so going from that to Black people I don't care about anymore.
Okay. Right. I just want to ask you this, because I'm really curious about Jay and this other lawsuit.
We're not okay. Yeah,
because that's in the same thing with the Kanye thing. Because they're just saying we're going to do this in all of 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Yeah.
Why is he always involved in some lawsuit? And it's always some weird lawsuit
because he has the money for the lawyers.
Is that what it is? I feel like every time I hear his name lately, it's always like he did this, but then there's always like some weird lawsuit. Like he's got some lawsuit against a perfumer or something.
He's got the money for the lawyers. Right. He's not a businessman. He's a businessman. He has always been very savvy. I'm sorry, isn't this the man that walked away from stabbing Rivera and got off of that case? Allegedly stabbed him. He's smart. Has Jay ever done any time for anything association with anything? I'm not accusing him. He was a drug dealer. That's no big, but he's very, very smart. Right. What's that line? I know a little something about the law, right? 99. He's a smart guy. It's a good way to keep your name in the papers, right? Right. Lawsuit. Mm-hmm. I don't understand. You brought this to I don't understand what this lawsuit's about.
I don't know what's going on. I'm just, when I saw it, I was just like, I feel like every time I see your name now, it's attached to some lawsuit. And it's in it's like, dude, like, you've got all your bases covered. You just
he's protecting his assets, because those Basquiat paintings cost a lot of money, He's protecting.
I wish he would cut that hair. Only because it's just like,
it's not an attractive look.
Well,
he doesn't look good. No, seriously.
It's just not.
Have you ever met him?
Yes, he's the nicest guy. I've absolutely met him a couple of times.
Nicest guy. And this is going to sound really weird. I met him a while back, but look, he's not, fucking Denzel, but I mean, in terms of looks or whatever, but he's not a bad looking guy.
Lower hair.
Photographs.
Lower Harris is better look.
Yeah.
Lower Harris is better.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's smart. That's why he keeps doing these lawsuits. I mean, what the fuck, right? He's got nothing else to do. What's he doing? He's not touring. He's not recording.
We don't know that. We never know when he's recording. That's the thing.
Yeah.
We don't know when he's recording. He'll pop up and be like, album coming. And then you've got your other one who's legally changed his name. So is it Yee? Is that his legal name?
Yee. Yeah. Okay.
Is there anyone more annoying than him? I mean,
yes, there are many people more annoying than him.
Well, Jennifer Lopez.
No, there are many people more annoying than him.
Oh no, she's more annoying than him. But
yeah, I have no problem. You and I have no problem with Jennifer Lopez.
I don't understand how you don't. There's so many people who I always think that you're gonna love, and you're like, oh, I can't stand them. And then the one that I think that you would agree with me with, you're like, oh no, I like her. And I'm like,
I didn't say I like her. She has no impact. Honestly, she does what she does. It's not my world. It's fine. I find
it's nobody's world.
Obviously it is. Obviously it is. But yeah, Kanye's changed his name. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's good.
That's
yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, if you could change your residence to maybe another, Miguel called me yesterday really upset because I guess he's over there in Berlin. He was like, why do you have, I'm opening up my papers and motherfucking Kanye's here shopping and the papers.
No, he's in New York now. There were pictures of him and Michael Cohen.
Well, he was.
Michael Cohen. Yes. Check your post.
Because he was
there were pictures of him coming in from the airport wearing what looks like a white girl version of a Mike Myers mask. No, I'm being serious. It's really creepy. Not a mask like COVID mask, like a full-on rubber Halloween mask. So he looks like sort of like that movie White Girls. Remember that movie White Girls? Right. So that's what he looks like. And then there's pictures of him having coffee or whatever, not once, but twice with Trump's former lawyer / nemesis, Michael Cohen. That to me is like,
Well, that says everything. Well, you saw he was all up with Trump. That's his friend. So I'm, it's just, I can't.
I mean, the man is mentally ill. He's very talented.
He is like an unflushed toilet in the Port Authority. And
no, I don't. I think that's cruel.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. You're the person who calls people idiots and all kinds of shit. So I am going to have this opinion without you telling me. For you to say that's cruel with the way you have ripped people apart on this show.
I don't rip the men. No. I'm not saying you're not entitled to opinion.
Wait. No. Go back. You said I don't what?
I don't think I'm not saying, we're all entitled to opinion. What I'm saying, I made my decision a while back that targeting Kanye or Britney or any other person who is demonstrably mentally ill.
But the thing is, we can't just say somebody's mentally ill because we think that. Do we know Kanye is mentally ill?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Because his family has said so. He is clearly mentally ill. He has, you know what? Let him walk around in whiteface.
Like some people may think it's mentally. I think he's one of those eccentric rich guys, and I think
he's also an asshole. He's also an asshole.
Yes, very much. And I think sometimes when you finally get money, you can live the way you want to live. You can do whatever you want to do. You can be your complete, authentically weird self because you can support yourself. You can do all the shit that you want to do. You're not constrained by anything. It's the reason why I love Mariah Carey and all of her Betty Boop weirdness, right? For some people, it's like she's this girl child and it's really weird. But to me, I appreciate, like, I worked hard. I made money. I like to be like this. I like to look like this.
She's also mentally ill. She has...
You are not going to... Mariah Carey is not mentally
ill. Courtney.
Mariah Carey, do not come from my Mariah Carey. She has
said that she was I'm not coming for her. She has said she was diagnosed bipolar. Hence, she has in her memoir.
You didn't read her memoir.
I read the excerpts from her memoir. All I'm saying is, and you didn't listen.
No, this is all I'm saying. You talk a lot of shit on this show. Go back and listen about people. What you're not going to hold on. Close your mouth. What we're not, because you were about to.
No, I'm not.
What we're not going to do is when I say something, you'd be like, when this thing, go back and listen to our show. You constantly.
Yes, I do.
Talk about the way people look. You call them idiots. But when I say it, you act like I have said the worst thing and they give me speeches on people being mentally ill.
I think you can say whatever you want to say. I said I have made a decision that going after people who are mentally ill.
You did, but don't attack me when I say what I didn't, because I don't say it as much as you. I try to be nice.
I didn't. You can say whatever. I did it. You can say whatever you want to say.
No.
I said I've made a decision. Mm-hmm. I feel like going after Kanye to use an expression you've used very well is low hanging fruit. It's too easy.
If you're going to keep being in my face and coming with all your bullshit, then I'm going to pluck that fruit. You know what I mean? With him. Like for him, I feel like he's a stunt queen. And I think he's one of those people who doesn't care if you're saying good about it. So, there's some people, as long as you're talking about them, they don't care.
Yeah.
Just talk about me. That's how I feel about Jennifer Lopez. She doesn't care just keep talking about me. As long as you talk about me, I don't care.
So let's not play into it then. Let's offer a fatwa on the two of them.
Okay, we'll put them in the box with Demi because
fatwa. They're in the do not open in case of emergency. If you and I ever come to a point where we have abso-fucking-lutely nothing to talk about, we will go, okay.
We might have to, but even then I'll be like, if we don't do that, we'll just sit here, we'll talk soup recipes. Like if you take the white beans and you soak them overnight.
Exactly. Yeah. So that'll be our break in case of emergency box. So FYI, people listening to the show, if you ever hear us talk about these three people again, you know that we are on death's door and we have nothing left to say.
It's been a desperate week, like where no one put out shit. Like
nothing happened. Courtney and I have been in a drug-induced coma all week. We've woken up at 8:55 and gone,
talk about this bitch.
Fuck, what do we talk about?
I would like to send a get well to Celine Dion because, we love Miss Celine, who is having to delay y'all can't see Amy's face. This is why soon I'm going to start taping video of these shows. No, because your facial expressions make it all. And I think if people saw your face, they'd be like, oh, she's so shady. She's so shady.
Not shady. But I don't love or hate her.
I know, but again, I just said, look at your face. You're like, it's not shady, but you're not seeing your face. I'm looking at your face.
I'm looking at my face. I hate being on Zoom. I really do. I hate being on Zoom. I'm the worst. I would be the worst poker player in the history. I would literally play poker and you would have all my money within 5 minutes.
People would always know because the thing is, I was the one in meetings who would just say how I felt and tell the truth. I remember one time Matthew was sitting, he was like, fix your face. Because somebody was saying something that was so funny. They were saying so full of shit. And immediately in my face, the eyes turned. Yeah. I'm looking across that table like, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
But Celine has an undisclosed sort of medical issue going on and evidently she's in some kind of pain that they're trying to figure out what's going on. And she's having to delay her big return to Vegas residency. And, I love Celine and, Celine is the one, I don't know if you've ever met her, the nicest lady.
That's what I've heard.
The nicest.
I've heard it's like her. I've heard she's on a level of Gloria Estefan Nice, who's also like she's the nicest person.
One of the nicest people. And the thing is, I say that from knowing many people that have worked with different people in different camps, and they're always like these are hardworking people, but the nicest people.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
We've all dealt and worked with people who everybody thinks is nice, and they're not as nice as people.
You know why she's nice? You know why she's nice? She's Canadian. Well, Canadians I hate to say it, but based on my experience, both as the ex-wife of a Canadian and
your husband was Canadian?
My first husband, yes.
Oh,
We've had this conversation.
Canadian. I know.
First husband.
I didn't know he was Canadian.
That's why I got married for a green card. He was from another country, which, newsflash, New Yorkers, Canada is. It's a whole nother country. That's why they could shut the borders, because it's a whole nother country. No, Canadians, it's obviously they're assholes who are Canadian, but they tend to be a little nicer. They really do.
Yeah.
So I obviously, she seems to be a super nice person. And I've heard the Vegas show is like killer.
One of the nicest people. Let me just tell you, she's nice. Beyonce's really nice. She's a really nice person. It's a hard-working environment because you're on it and it doesn't stop, but she's a really nice person. And Gloria's she's such and then they're the ones who are just like, wow, you're a piece of fucking work, but that's a whole other. One day, if we're feeling super shady, we should drink. Well, see, you don't drink. I'll say, let's drink some wine and then get up and do a show when I'm feeling loose enough to be like, let me tell you what this bitch did. That
will also be in our last show when we pull out.
Right.
That'll be in our last show.
Where we will do when we will do like our next subject, Katie Couric, and burn the house down on the
All right,
up.
You know that this is your lane because I can't even think of.
But what I want to ask you, it's a real question.
Yeah.
You know, I know that you're a writer and you're an author, and I believe
not an author. I'm a writer. Different.
That's true. Writer. Right.
Yeah.
Do you believe when people write a memoir? Do you believe in the kiss and tell memoir, and do you believe in putting really disparaging things, telling your life story, and kind of berating and beating other people down and telling it? You know, because to me, I think everybody has a right to tell their story, but I do think there's a certain meanness when you tell certain things. You're also telling other people shit that they might not be ready to disclose and share with people.
I've only read the excerpt. All right. First, so she's trying to sell books.
Yeah.
Secondly, I think from what I read, the stuff she said about Matt Lauer is kind of public knowledge at this point.
Yeah, but we're talking about the stuff she said about other women.
That bothers me more than anything else.
That's what I'm talking about. It's like that kind of shit. The stuff about Matt Lauer is like whatever.
Yeah.
It seems like then some of the people talking about this person smelled.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of tacky.
It's like to me, it's like, is this your memoir? Or is this like burning down the house and it's like your revenge shit?
Yeah, the two things that bothered me from the excerpts I've read is that she admitted that she was not a mentor to other women, which I always find problematic. But she said it was.
Then she tried to clear that up because she did her interview on the Today Show the other day, and what she tried to say is, I have mentored many women, and then she said some of which still work here in the control room. But it's like, yeah, interesting. Everybody who's behind the scenes who you felt like wasn't a journalist, wasn't in the same lane.
Yeah, I'm not defending her at all, but women are given very few slots, so she may have felt
threatened. We talked about this on the last show, and you said
and I'm not defending it at all. Right. And the stuff about covering up details of the Ruth Bader Ginsburg interview, I found that because you know what, even though we are I'm going to assume we are team Ruth Bader Ginsburg, we agree with her, that from a journalist standpoint, you just sit there and go, wow, you are playing right into the hands of people who think that the journalism is liberal, blah blah blah. So that was like, that's not good journalism, honey, and
it's funny because in the interview Savannah brought that up to her, and she said, don't you think this feeds into people who think we pick and choose, especially on certain sides, what we're going to show to fit a certain narrative? And Katie's answer was like, well, I put the parts in I thought was relevant and that really showed how she felt. And I was like, no. You need to put exactly what she said in there because that is what she said.
But I will tell you this, that I have one story. All of my stories were edited, and it's very different between a live broadcast and something printed. Things have to be edited. Things are always edited.
Right.
But I remember doing a story about it, about Joe Budden early on, before podcasts, whenever, and he talked a lot about something that I thought was he talked a lot about his mental illness and his drug addiction. And that was all sort of taken out so they could talk about gossip. And I was like, what the fuck?
Right.
Same thing with Pitbull. All the political stuff was taken out so he could talk about gossip. So, people do make editorial decisions. The difference is that she made the decision to do it.
Right.
You know that if Katie Couric came in and said, I want this in, they all would have said, yes, Miss Katie. Yes, Miss Katie.
Yeah,
yes,
it's true. It's true.
So that's just bad, especially with someone like who is known as a liberal icon. Talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Yeah, right. I just thought that's not a good move. That's not a good move as a journalist.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that wasn't a good move. All right. So talking about fake news.
Oh my God. Miss Thing. First of all. So
she's selling a book too, right? She selling a book?
Well, she's got a new gig. Isn't like the Daily Mail, and now she's going to have a column in the Daily Mail.
Oh yeah, the Daily Mail, that bastion of journalist integrity.
I think it's the Well, right. Over there, isn't that also where fucking
that's Piers Morgan?
It's a perfect place.
Yeah, perfect.
She's interviewed in Variety by her friend, who's like, full disclosure, Megan and I are friends, and then proceeds to have a whole interview where it's basically about her postpartum and she cried a lot and how everything she tried to say and cry. I was like, lady, are you painting yourself as some victim who was just trying to be, you acted like a temperamental child for 4 years. For 2 of the years, I kind of loved it. Then it started being like, lady, you're doing too much. And I say the same thing about Joy. You know, I think Joy, sometimes I'm like, you're doing too much. So I'm an equal opportunity, you're doing too much. But Meghan McCain trying to reframe this like she was some victim in something. It was like, lady, you yelled, you screamed, you talked over people, you stomped your feet. Yes, I would imagine it would be very, very difficult to be the conservative voice on that panel. I am not going to take that away and act like that is some easy thing. But you're whining and now trying to be like, it was such a toxic work environment when it seemed like maybe the person who's creating the toxic environment could be you. And I'm sure after a while, maybe you did have people who didn't like you. You know, it's like, that's kind of happens in a workplace. If you're the person who's always arguing with people, sometimes you're not the one that people want to hang out with when the show calls rap.
Well, look, I mean, I'm obviously not a conservative, and her point being a Republican during the era of Trump was problematic. She could have stopped being a Republican if that's what he stands for. Here's my problem with this. First off, I love how Republicans suddenly care about social justice issues when it impacts on them. So Senator Portman doesn't give a fuck about gay marriage until his son comes out and suddenly, we need to have gay marriage. Dick Cheney doesn't give a fuck about gay people until he has a daughter who's gay. We have to have equality for gay people. Suddenly, Meghan McCain, who fancies herself a feminist, bullshit, is suddenly so concerned about maternity leave and parental leave and childcare. I'm like, bitch, you don't care about these things until it impacts on you. And you could afford, you were taping this show at home. For all we know, you had an entire coterie of childcare people running around.
You are a wealthy woman.
A wealthy white woman. She's a wealthy white woman
who was not worried about, the
health
hospital
insurance
care for your child, aftercare for your child, being able, the whole thing, I was worried somebody's going to kill my child, all of these things. I get those are real worries, but you weren't worried about, can I do the things I need to do to protect my child? You know what I mean? So it's like, it's so weird. I hate that. What you hit it right on the head. I really hate that it's like, now that things affect you, you can see what everybody's been screaming about. It's like, everybody's not lying when they're saying these things are happening.
But she works an hour a day.
Right.
Or an hour and a half. She works maximum 2 hours a day. Maximum 2 hours a day. I mean, I will say this about Meghan McCain. I never liked her. She was a lot less offensive. She's married to a guy who's a fucking racist, who's a right wing, capital R, capital W, and he's in her ear. He's totally in her ear because she's mouthing his talking points. The scion of the prominent Puerto Rican family. So wow, women need childcare. You think, Meghan?
It's like, it's like my doctor, right? My doctor first, she just told me she's leaving where she's at and asked if I would come with her. And I was like, well, yeah, you're my doctor. She first started working in the communities uptown, and she's leaving where she's at in her offices to come run this clinic in Harlem because for her, she's staffing the whole thing up, looking at the numbers and the health disparities within the Black and Brown community. She feels like it is time to take her practice and bring all of her services back to the community to really help people. And when I think of somebody like Meghan, it's like, dude, the fact that that day when she was talking about it, I don't know how women do it. It's like they do it every day, Meghan. They do it without having to figure out childcare, having to figure out how to feed that kid and go to work during COVID. It's like they don't get to be like you and work from home and be like, oh my God, this is so hard. It's like, yeah, it is hard. It's very hard.
So
it's too many things.
Yeah, let's put her in the box of people we don't give a fuck about anymore either. All right, but
at least we don't have to see her every day, right?
No,
because the thing is, and I've not been able to go back to. I told you last year I stopped watching The View in the middle of the season. They had one argument, and I was like, this is too much. So I was like, I'm done for the season. And I've tried to come back this season. I just turned off to it. I can't even watch the show anymore. And you and I,
we like a train wreck, and the person driving the train is gone.
But it's not even that. I think I got so turned off from it last season that when I try to turn it on now, I'm still turned off by the show. I can't really watch it. And you and I would watch it and be like, did you see what the fuck happened today? And now neither of us hit each other like, did you see what happened? Because I very rarely watching it.
I don't watch it. I'm also, but it's kind of run its course in terms of what. Look, she was a perfect personification of the chaos and the animosity and the nastiness that Trump represented. And now that, the chaos and the nastiness and the whatever is still in existence. Obviously, we see what's going on around the country. But now that we don't have a guy on TV and Twitter spewing this shit every day, we don't have we have Tucker Carlson, I guess, but that's more of an effort to watch him. The View is like daytime TV. It's like on, you're cleaning the house, whatever. Yeah. So she, who does she have to feed off of? Nobody, right? She can't sit there and whine about it. How come I don't have the vaccine? You have the fucking vaccine. How come, it's like, stop. You're just, she's whatever. We'll put her in the box. Our box is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But one woman one white woman we love is Adele.
Listen,
I feel like we've been talking about the coming of this album, the single, for longer it'd take me to have a baby. I swear.
I love a lady who sings big and beautiful, but then curses and cackles like a sailor.
Oh, I love her so much.
That's why I love Adele.
No,
because I think I miss her personality even more than the singing. Yeah. Because watching her do these press rounds and interviews, she's hilarious.
She's hilarious.
When she was on The Heat in the UK and they were like, Ed Sheeran has an album coming out that time. She's like, what, on the 19th? They were like, no, don't be worried. Don't be worried. She said, I'm not worried. He should be worried. I'm like, come on, Adele. I live for you.
No, she's great. She's absolutely great. She's sort of, so look, here's the shocking. We're going to break shocking news on this show. Easy on Me has broken all sales records or streaming records. I know. A struggling underground artist
who came from nowhere with a piano ballad.
And just dropped the record in the middle of the night. Who knew she had a song coming out? Did you know she had a song coming out?
Now, I will say this. It's a boring as fuck video. It's boring, baby.
Terrible.
It's boring.
I want a moratorium on black and white videos.
It's as boring as like a moose that's just kind of like grazing in somebody's backyard in Alaska.
A moose. Did you say a moose? A moose? That's the first animal that you pulled out of your head was a moose? A moose
grazing in the backyard in Alaska. You know what I mean? Just watching it. It's like, oh, look, it's just eating. Because that's what the video is. It's like, oh, okay, there she is.
She's not a moose.
But no, I'm not calling her a moose.
I know.
I'm just saying it's that boring. It's so boring. Great song. She sounds beautiful.
Amazing. She sounds great.
I love a piano ballad. Is very 70s, early 80s. No, who's the last person who just gave
Nobody could get away with, because I'll tell you, I'm sure everybody is waiting for the guitars and the drums. There is no singer out there right now. No singer out there right now who could get away with a piano ballad as their lead-off single.
After 6 years of waiting, people waiting, and you come. Because remember, I kept saying, I want some tempo. And then when I heard the preview, I was like, all right, it's not going to be tempo. Right. But when I heard it, I was like, this is a beautiful... First of all, listen, she can sing, right?
She can sing.
Her phrasing is beautiful. It's the big voice. Yeah. I think the melody of it is great.
I had it in... Did you have it in your head as soon as you heard it?
No, as soon as I did, I went to because I still own the promo list. So I went to one of the ones and downloaded it and was like, okay, great. Love it. Play it. Yeah. I don't need to go back and watch the video, which is already, I think, almost like 80 or 90 million views. But it makes me excited for the album because it seems like, all right, this album seems to be more stripped back production wise. And I always love that. I do not like an overproduced album.
Well, especially when you can sing.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't think you need all of that. When you can really sing, just give me some great songs. And this sounds like this is just going to be, listen, she did not come back and say, let me reinvent the wheel. It's a big old Adele song.
It's an Adele song.
Like Adele.
I mean, I read something really funny online. People go, it's an Adele song. And somebody, who did you think she was going to record with? Meat Beat Manifesto? I mean, It's Adele. Right. This is her from the first album. She has had a defined, even her up-tempo stuff. She is Adele. She doesn't change it up. The only, the eyeliner is the same. And this is not anyway, the only difference maybe is that she is spending much more time in the United States. And we do have a habit of seeping into British people's psyche. I mean, Robbie Williams but she's Adele. And the record is going to be Adele.
Yeah. And look, it's like Sade, right? You don't like, if Sade's next album came out and it was a house music album, everybody would be turned out. You want Sade, you want them to have new music that doesn't sound like the last music, but you still want them to sound like Sade.
Yes,
and the thing about Adele is people want Adele to sound like Adele, and she does. And it's
classic Coke versus new Coke. Oof, you don't want new Coke. You want classic Coke as long as it still tastes good.
Right.
Well, Adele put out a record, very happy. But the thing that kind of made my little week is that
this is your
Stromae. I don't know if it's Stromae or Stromae.
Right.
It's Maestro backwards. That's what it is. It's in French. Okay, so Stromae is a Belgian, Rwandan artist who is the biggest French-speaking artist in the world. His second album, I can't pronounce it. Racine Carré, I don't know what it means. I think it means square. Is massive. I mean, you can't even imagine how huge this guy is in French-speaking countries, which means he never made it really big in the United States, but yet he sold at Madison Square Garden. So he's big enough to, and he just makes, I mean, there's hints of Congo music, there's hints of Latin music, there's hints, and dance music. He's just an engaging performer. He's very much an art project. He comes out in these outfits and he speaks about issues. I mean, I don't speak French, so obviously I have to watch it with subtitles. But he talks about, this new song is about the working class. He talks about, he's been compared to like Jacques Brel. So I'm very excited that, because it was kind of left at the last thing, like he is retired and he's gone. So I'm very excited that
he's only 36. It's very interesting with him. You know what I mean? He's pretty dope. He's a dope guy.
I'm a little nervous that people like will.i.am and Madonna want to work with him, but that was the last album, so maybe they've forgotten.
Well, that's because he's known. He's really like, his work is a lot in hip hop and electronic music. So it would make sense. And Madonna, like if she sees something that she thinks is new, she's like, I want it.
Right, but he's just really interesting. Papa Toué, his big single from his last album, one of the best videos. I don't know if you've ever watched the video. It's one of the best videos you'll ever see. So I'm very excited that he's putting out a record. I mean, he's not going to have the kind of streaming that Adele does, but he will do really well because he's on Interscope now. So that'll be kind of interesting.
And but it'd be interesting because he's got a really bad problem with anxiety.
Oh.
And panic attacks, which is why you don't really see him do very many public appearances and why people always feel like he disappears because of his anxiety.
And also the language issues. In the beginning, that was an issue. His watch his live stuff, though. It is so good. God, he's good. I mean, so I'm just very excited. I know that you like him a lot, too. I'm very excited. And Americans need to stop. I mean, we listen to non-Spanish speaking Americans listen to shit in Spanish all the time. It's not an issue. So listen to something in French. You don't have to know what's going on.
All the different languages, really, because there's some great music. And it's like, I always say that we fail in America when we say things like world music, because they think world music and it's just like some Afro beats. And we don't even really dig into the rich cultural musical landscape of artists coming out of Africa, right? That's like, they always get to be fringe here and not really have the moments. Except right now, finally, WizKid is seeming to have a moment. And his song Essential with Tim's, which has been out for months and months and months, is having a big explosion at the moment worldwide. So, we see him breaking through, but that, it always feels like there's one, right? One.
Well, it's also it's like ethnic food, world music. It's a very everyone's in the world. Right. I mean, are we like a planet unto ourselves?
Right.
I mean, it's a kind of, I understand where it comes from, but it's a kind of like, it's like the old joke about the World Series. Really? Because I don't see any other country playing in this game but the United States. It's not the World Series. It's the American Series. That's fine. So yeah, I'm very excited to hear what his record is going to be. You want to talk about what you're listening to? I'll talk a little bit about what I'm listening to. What do you,
Well, honestly, I've still been listening to a lot of old stuff, because there's some, I've been listening to the Purple Disco Machine, have an album out right now called Exotica. I actually have an early copy of Lana Del Rey's album that is coming out this week called Blue Banisters, and I've been listening to that on repeat.
Does she record every week?
Miss Thing, she's got fucking 40 albums.
I was going to say, didn't she put out 2 albums last year? Or an album that won the Grammy, and then another one, right?
And then she put out an album. And when she put out an album, she said that this one was coming and it was pushed. So that's coming this week. And it's Lana, I like her. I've actually been going back and listening to a lot of Blood Orange for some reason. I've been going through a lot of their albums. I've been on Cupid Deluxe and
He's really great. He's a great Dev Hynes.
Talented. Yeah.
Dev Hynes is great.
Angel's Pulse and just having that moment.
Dev Hynes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dev Hynes made the only Solange song I like, but that's because it sounds like a Jody Watley song, Losing You.
Yeah, that's I love that song.
Right?
But I love all her music, but I really love that song. That's a great.
Yeah.
And I like the stuff that he did with Sugar Babes. What was I going to say to you? Basketball's back. Last night.
Oh wait, I just want to talk real fast about what I've been listening to. A couple weeks ago, I was reading an article about a documentary that was coming out about a singer named Karen Dalton, and the name sort of sounded familiar to me, but I didn't know who she was. So I went to the Googles and I looked her up. So Karen Dalton has died very young at 55. She was a Native American Irish singer. She had a very troubled life, much like another underappreciated singer-songwriter, Judy Sill, who had a very troubled life. She was in the 60s folk scene in New York. So she was hanging out with Fred Neil and Dylan. But of course, she never got the acclaim because woman. Bob Dylan said that she had a voice like Billie Holiday and played guitar like Jimmy Reed. And it's a really interesting. She was the first person to record a cover of Tim Harden's Reason to Believe, which Rod Stewart also recorded and had a big hit with. Each version is great unto itself. She had a very troubled life, a young mother. She died of HIV, I believe, drug addict. None of the men, of course, ever did anything to promote her. They just said they liked her. I didn't see Dylan putting her on tour with him or anything like that, but she's really amazing. She's had a huge influence on Nick Cave, has talked a lot about. So she put out a couple of records in the 60s and 70s. It's on Spotify. It's just refreshing. This is the beauty of Spotify. You and I have talked about this. It has troubling business practices, but you can go
where you could go find something.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's someone, like I said, I've kind of very interesting voice. I think you would like it. It's a very lived in voice, a lot of country kind of feeling to it, that nexus between country and folk and soul. I think you would like her. But anyway, so Karen Dalton is someone I've just been checking for. And basketball. Yes, please. You were saying basketball.
Last night was the opening night of the new 21-22 NBA season. And the first game, first of all, I'm so glad for my Inside the NBA guys to be back. I love EJ, Shaq, Kenny, and Chuck. Chuck lost some weight. He looked really good. And the opening game, Charles Barkley.
I was going to say, I didn't know you guys were on first term basis like that.
I call him Chuck.
Chuck. I was like,
I call him Chuckles.
I was like, Chuck.
He likes the gays. We like any guys who like the gays.
I love him. I love him so much. I used to collect like the fucking outrageous, crazy shit he would say and cut it out of the paper and put it on my refrigerator. I'm not even lying about that. I love him.
I love him too. The opening game was the the champions, the Bucks versus the Nets, and the Bucks beat the Nets. And the second game was the Warriors against the Lakers. The Warriors beat the Lakers. And I only say that because everybody's like, you know, they look at the players and they've been pegging, yes, the Nets are going to win the East this year. And the Lakers, with their big three, are going to beat everybody. And they got beat. You know what I mean? It's like, I hate all the predictions just because you see, first of all, a lot of these big three, yeah, they're great, but they're also older. They're these younger cats coming up who are like, not so fast. You know, and Stephen Curry was amazing last night. And tonight,
our babies, our men,
guys,
our guys
at
the Knickerbockers
at 7:30 tonight, our guys open up at the Garden against the Celtics. Yeah. We have fucking Amy.
This is our year, baby. This is our year.
We have got to be in Madison. You and I know.
No, we have to. This is ridiculous.
You know way too many people.
Okay,
way too
listen. Anyone who's listening,
end up at a fucking Knicks game.
No, anybody who's listening. You know how I know that New York is back in love with the Knicks again? Because when I walk through the Fulton Mall, which is still the last place in Brooklyn, you can see more than 2 black people at this point. I see young black kids wearing Knicks t-shirts
all over, yeah.
And I'm like, go Knicks.
We won all 4 of our preseason games. You know what I'm saying? It's like, the thing is, what I love about the Knicks, we're always going to be the scrappy ones, right? And they're a scrappy bunch, and people getting second chances. Like fucking Derrick Rose, man. It's like, got his mojo back. He's fucking on fire. And you've got Julius Randle, and now we have Kimba, and RJ is really stepping into his shit.
I want to see Julius Randle's birth certificate. I don't believe that guy is 28 years old. I mean, or 26. I look at him and I'm like, really? You look very old. I mean, you play amazing, but I'm like, I don't believe you. I don't.
Whoever listens to this show,
we want tickets.
And I will tell you this. I will give up my sexual body. We will do it. I will. Well, I know you won't, but I'm cheap, and since I haven't had sex, I'll do it for the tickets.
Nobody wants mine. That's why we're trying to get good tickets, Courtney. Courtney, we don't want to sit in the nosebleeds.
I will take one for the team, but we gotta have good seats. And
you know there's still corporate seats. Give me a fucking break. Those that Garden is sold out every single game, even when they suck.
But there's always a chance to go to a game.
No, I have to go. It's been too many years.
Remember when you did that thing? Was it for Chase and you spoke about the?
Oh my God! I met John Starks.
I can't believe they didn't up some tickets. It's like, come on, y'all, up a ticket.
Seriously,
it's like seriously, up a fucking ticket.
I mean, really, the T-shirt is lovely. I gave you a hat. That's lovely.
Right.
The pizza was great. It was nice. Yeah, it was nice standing next to John Starks. But yeah, really,
legendary.
Come on.
Did you take a picture with him?
I'll take the blue section. I don't care.
Did you take? And you know what? I want to go to another Rangers game. I had never, 2 years ago, I went to my first Rangers game. And it was a great fucking time.
Was it a first hockey game? Because I've never been to a hockey game.
Yeah, I had never been to a hockey game. And like, I got invited. I went and I had a great time. I loved it. And it's like, you know, they have all the same shit like the basketball. Like when goals are scored, there's saws, there's lights, there's all kinds of shit. I was like, this is fucking great.
I've never been to a hockey game, but you know what?
On TV, I don't like it, but in person,
it's boring on TV.
In person, it's fucking great. It's a great time.
You get wrapped up in the noise and the crowd and the singing and the yelling, and you get all
really
into it. Well, anyway, anyone who's listening,
listen,
Knicks tickets,
please. Come on, y'all.
Anybody playing anybody? Can we just go with that?
We're not that picky, but we would like to be in a suite, or we'd like to be in the 100 section. Not going to be picky.
You know, the secret. One of the secrets. Because 2 years ago, a school I worked at gave all the students Nets tickets. They gave them Nets tickets, but they were playing the Knicks. And one of the students says, "Oh, I don't think I'm going to go." And I was like, "Really? Can I have your ticket?" And he gave it to me, which is probably unethical, but that's okay. And half of the audience, half of the crowd, obviously at the net at Barclays was Knicks fans. They're cheaper. If you want to see the Knicks, go to Barclays, except that now Barclays could blah, blah, blah. They're charging way more money than they used to do because they used to give those Nets tickets away.
No, well now they are because you see all those salaries they're fucking paying over there. So now, first of all, Barclays is weird too. I don't know how people sit at the top.
I don't. Oh, it's terrifying.
Weird.
I've done it. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. Do you know that the first time I sat up there, the first and only time, because my block association, we used to get free tickets for shows, blah, blah, blah. And we got tickets for Elton John. Before I even could commit to the
we got those tickets to Robin, remember?
Yeah, but we were in a normal section.
Yeah, we were in a normal section. Yeah.
No, I went up to the scary section. Before I even did that, I tried it out at another show to see if I can do it. It's terrifying, and if you stand up and dance too much, you feel like you're going to go wee. So
I'm not into that.
I don't know. I'm not into that. If I'm going to go to a Knicks-Nets game in Barclays, you need to put me on the floor.
Yeah, so that's the thing. The Block Association doesn't get the Barclays tickets anymore. They don't do that
maybe
anymore?
You heard there was a pandemic and Barclays was shut down.
Yeah, but it's also. But I'm just saying. But it's been open. They've been doing shows there now for a
while.
No,
it's much more limited. Much more limited, and we never got basketball tickets because they only gave those to like a youth organizations. They only gave them to shut people up who were protesting against. All right. Do it, baby, because you do the thing you do so well.
Well, thank you, everybody, for listening to us. We're on, remember, you can totally follow us on the Pantheon Podcast Network. And good news, guys, this week on the Pantheon Podcast Network, they now have their own channel on Apple Podcasts. And so you can find us if you listen to us on Apple at our normal place. Also, please like and save the Pantheon Podcast Network on Apple Podcasts because we will be there in the main feed as well. You know, all the other places because you guys are listening to us. Thank you very much. Remember to review us, leave a rating, leave a star, say something, tell a friend, post it to your social media. And remember, tag us. Tag us when you do. We're on Twitter at FinishIma. We're on Instagram at ImmaLetYouFinish NY. We're on Facebook at ImmaLetYouFinish, all one word. And we really appreciate you. We love interacting with you guys on Twitter. Thank you. For some reason, last week, a couple of our tweets got a lot of action on Twitter. So
that was nice.
Thank you guys. That was really, really good. And we love talking to you guys on Facebook all day because you guys comment on the posts. We go back and forth. So remember, we're there a lot. So talk to us there. And follow the Pantheon Podcast Network, guys. There's so many amazing shows, over 70 amazing shows in high-def audio, every type of music, lots of scripted shows from people who are the ones, not just us, like us, but the musicians who were there, the roadies who were on the road, the engineer, like really informative stuff with every genre of music. And then, you know, you come back to us and you get your laughs, you get some information, you get some kiki, you get us arguing. It's what we love to do and how we like to give it to you every week. You know, it's been 2.5 years of us doing this show. And we're really happy that you've rocked with us, you know what I mean? And the show continues to grow. So we're grateful. Thank you guys for coming along the ride, and we will see you next week.
Stay safe, guys.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett, Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package, with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's FantasyPoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. FantasyPoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.